Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Shane.
Nick.
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 Shane.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Shane.
And welcome to the Nick and Shane Show. We appreciate you for being here with us for another one. We're trucking on through this year here, man. It's already
it's almost over.
right? But yeah, we appreciate you for being here with us. All of you that are watching, if you want to jump in the show, we'll see if we get some dicks to jump in again this time. But for those of you out there watching, if you'd like to jump on the panel of the Nick and Shane Show, just go ahead and click that link in the description, and you can join us here in the studio. Or for those out there that are watching and don't want to do that, you're, of course, more than welcome to just make a comment or ask us a question if you like, and we'll go ahead and drop that during the show, okay? But like I said, welcome to another Nick and Shane Show. I'm Nickolas Wildstar, and this is this guy, yeah. The one and only Shane in the house, Shane Driscoll. And we're here to talk about, I guess, piggyback off a discussion that we had last week.
Right.
That led into us talking about the Peter McCullough interview on the Joe-Rogan show, a Joe-Rogan podcast. So Shane suggested that we go ahead and we watch that interview. So I hope you all watched it. Hope you did. Shane, how many times have you seen it?
One.
Once. All right, cool. Yeah, I think once is enough. It's so much information in that interview. It's kind of like a rabbit hole, you know?
Right. I was going to say, once is enough, but you could watch it 10 times and still pick up something new, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ever since the interview, there's been a buzzword kind of picking up in the media, which is that whole mass formation psychosis, which is a term that's actually been around long before this whole COVID crisis deal. You know, we identify with mass psychosis, already in so many ways. Should it happen with the whole drinking Kool-Aid, fiasco, as well as Nazism,
any of it, yes. So you got a chance to watch it, Nick. What did you think? What were your first thoughts?
I couldn't believe that this guy had actually made it onto TV, onto a mainstream platform to actually talk about this whole COVID crisis in such a frank way. I mean, quite honestly, I'm not a Joe Rogan podcast fan or anything. Okay. I maybe caught maybe one or two throughout the entire time that he's been doing this. But yeah, with this one in particular, this is definitely a must-see. So for those of you out there like me that, don't really care too much about the Rogan show, this is one you don't want to miss for sure, because yes, that he had on there is Dr. Peter McCullough, who is a world-renowned physician, and he's wrote tons of now he does. What did he say he does now? He does actually pharmaceutical testing or something like that, right?
Well, he does all sorts of medical testing, all sorts of various testing, but I think it's specific to the pharmaceutical industry. But again, man, so much detail in that interview.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the piece that blew me out of the water and that still bothers me is that while there's a lot about this whole coronavirus thing that bothers me, the idea that nobody was willing to stray or venture from what the CDC and NIH deemed to be the appropriate treatment protocols, that so few doctors, seeing the horrible results they were getting, that so few doctors said, God, I wonder if there's some kind of early treatment we could do.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just blown away by it. And while I don't want to call it mass psychosis, because I know that's the buzzword. When I think of doctors, I'm going to be candid with you. When I think of doctors, right, I do think of mass indoctrination. I won't call it psychosis, right? Mm-hmm. But from my perspective, doing the whole plant-based thing and learning the plant-based stuff that I've learned, it's that at the end of the day, right, these guys don't understand even the basics, right? They don't understand nutrition.
Right.
You've got cardiologists.
Like it.
Yeah, you got cardiologists and oncologists, becoming millionaires, doing surgeries and prescribing medications. And you've got, your family practitioner that's doing good, prescribing medications. And at the end of the day, they're not helping anyone.
Yeah. I'm confused about how there's certain information that the CDC and WHO provides that actually says that certain vitamins and minerals, are actually dangerous and non-essential to them. You would think, again, they would be promoting good health in every way, shape, and form. But to say that these certain dire needs to our body are not necessary, and that their pharmaceutical medicines are, is definitely alarming.
It just doesn't translate. It doesn't translate. Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get to. Is that at the end of the day, the doctors who are incredibly good people, obviously very intelligent people, and were able to learn what was put in front of them, but seem to have only learned what was put in front of them. And I don't think there's much room for critical thinking in that.
Exactly. I was just about to say that they were only regurgitating the information put in front of them instead of critically thinking, or even trying to think outside of the box based on their expertise and profession.
Correct. And again, I hate to accuse a doctor. I mean, somebody who has gone through all the education, all the schooling, taken on all the debt, everything that doctors do, right? I don't want to be critical of doctors, but seriously, man, right? This was like a televised, tragedy.
And we got to see all of the whole medical professionals across the world drop the ball. Time and time again. To where now they're still not on the same page, So for those of you out there that haven't seen the interview, hopefully you have, but if you haven't, definitely check it out. But we're going to be discussing spoilers, I guess. So there's the disclaimer. Because if you haven't said it yet, of course, that defeats the purpose. But what we're going to be talking about is the interview and certain things that he said, such as what Shane is bringing up about how the whole medical professional community basically seemed clueless about how to treat COVID. And Dr. McCullough, during the interview, even brought up how some of our nation's leading health institutions, about 300 of them exact, have yet to treat any COVID patients. They're afraid of it. And from... I got a visitor.
Yes, we got a guest.
Yes. I got a little Chancellor Wildstar in the house. Welcome to the Nick and Shane Show.
What's going on, little man?
Yeah, but and he was basically saying how they're being irresponsible, especially when it comes to our children, and them recommending this injection of mRNA technology for our children. You know how irresponsible that is, because he was saying as a doctor, you can't ever say that something that hasn't been tested as rigorously as these, COVID vaccines is actually 100% safe and to be given to our kids. And even called out Sanjay Gupta, with him being on the show. And you want to talk about it? He wants to talk about Sanjay Gupta on Sesame Street.
Does he? I bet.
you didn't really appreciate that either, did you? And neither did Joe Rogan or Dr. Peter McCullough,
Right.
How did you feel about that part, Shay?
It's just the whole thing. I just found the whole thing, honestly, every step of the way.
What's up, TJ?
Man, like bothersome. It was disturbing.
Yeah, definitely.
I just now when it starts getting into the he starts talking about the fact that at the end of the day, right, that at best Dr. Fauci is just the world's most negligent doctor in history. Right? He's either the most negligent doctor in history, or he's some sort of criminal mastermind that's behind this whole coronavirus thing. But what he points out, but McCullough points out, is that you got all of these other medical leaders in all of these other countries all around the world that are just going right along with what everyone, like what Fauci is saying.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes it seem like it's conspired, is that it's an organized kind of approach.
Right.
And it's only one point of view that's being expressed and promoted, which is the vaccine is the best way to protect yourself from the virus. So go and get it, and there's no other way to treat it other than, even though during the interview, Dr. Peter McCullough brought up how they had treated patients using ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine and other methods of treatment other than the vaccine. And he said the medical community knows this, but yet are silent on it. So why do you think that is, Shane?
I don't have he was TJ. I know, and oh man, here's the thing. When you take a look at Fauci's track record, it is so hard not to buy into a conspiracy theory.
Right.
Like, he's truly the worst physician who has ever walked the face of the planet. Certainly the most ignorant. He's so underqualified for the level of responsibility that he has that literally only government could hire someone like that for a job that had that kind of
But is he in government? I mean, he's working for a private, institution, the CDC, the NIH.
Right.
I mean, they're institutions that are under, employed by the government body. But they're private organizations. Even the CDC has a stake in the vaccines, and Dr. McCullough pointed that out also during the interview. Matter of fact, there's actually something I wanted to share, because since that interview, it's funny that you had suggested such a thing, because recently there's been a uproar by the medical community to have Joe Rogan removed from Spotify for misinformation. All right, excuse me.
Well, first of all, I understand how he feels, man. Chance, this is so boring. I get
it. All of this is upsetting. It's boring. Let's move on. A lot of people are over COVID. It's so crazy. I forgot which newscaster it was, but he went on off the record on his show saying, I'm just sick of COVID. I'm sick of the lockdowns. I'm sick of the mandates. I'm sick of the masks. I'm sick of the propaganda. I'm just sick of it all,
Well, but here's the thing. It's all, okay, the virus is real. Everything else seems to be a lie. The vaccines are not vaccines. They don't work. The only thing the vaccines appear to do is keep you from dying or experiencing the worst kinds of symptoms. But that's if you're in that group of people that would be most susceptible to it, which would be that percentage of the population that isn't even a percent.
Right.
Right. Especially when you're talking about Omnicorn. And oh my gosh, there's this one I don't understand either. So Omnicorn hasn't killed anybody in the United States, right? That's what I'm aware of. It hasn't killed anyone in the United States. Why isn't this the variant? If I'm running the CDC, not a doctor, right? I'm saying this is where everybody go hug someone, right? This is the variant we want to spread. It's not killing anyone. Let's build herd immunity. Let's build natural immunity to this thing. Why isn't anybody?
There's not even that is like an offensive term now. It's a conspiracy is, you having a natural immunity. It's like no such a thing exists to the vaccine pushers right now, And you're right about that whole COVID Omicron death thing, because here's a headline right here. If I can stop all of the pop-ups, thank you. U.S. COVID deaths rising, but likely due to Delta, not Omicron, says CDC chief. Look at the date, people. January 12th. January 12th. So that was 2 days ago that the CDC chief, and there's tons of interviews of her going around, not this lady, but of her actually doing interviews talking about the Omicron variant and talking about the deaths from the COVID virus. She even said about how the majority of them are people that have had pre-existing conditions, maybe 4 or more, qualifying factors. Like you said, nobody's died from the Omarion or whatever.
Yeah, Omnicorn.
Like it. Yeah, Omnicorn. Optimus Prime.
Right.
Yeah. Nobody's died from it. The majority of people that are, I guess, suffering from any type of symptoms right now have been vaccinated, So this is information that the CDC director is going out there openly saying during news, conferences and news interviews or whatever, and it doesn't seem to be resonating with the public. I don't know. It's like they're only attaching to certain information that feeds into their fears.
We've kind of been conditioned for that, haven't we? That's what we do. We get scared and look for somebody to give us a solution and.
Right, exactly. don't mind the kid climbing all over me every
month. The what? I don't know what he's talking about.
He just can't help himself, and I'm on daddy duty, so this
this is spectacular. There you go, rip an eyeball out, kid. He only needs the one.
See, and this is why I never get work done when I'm on the computer, because give me about 15, 20 minutes sitting here, and this will happen.
Yeah, the funny thing is about that work thing, I've got some friends with some cats who feel the exact same way.
Yeah, no wonder the fur babies are just as much of a headache as these little ones, the little people.
Right. Only the fur babies don't eventually talk back.
That is true. Pretty soon he'll get there. So unless he's going to say something, we're going to continue our conversation, okay? But I think the most alarming thing, again, is that the misinformation that people are seeing out there, are saying is coming from the conspirators versus the horse's mouth itself, like the CDC director, like Fauci, who has made contradictory statements in interviews and, saying 1 minute that masks need to be the most important thing, but then, sending out emails saying,
it is. In my opinion, in my opinion, this to me is amateur hour with the CDC, with NIH, with Fauci and all. I think one of the things that you can do to cause like mass hysteria, to cause mass panic, or to even cause apathy, right, is to never be consistent in what you say. If you're never consistent in what you say, people are either going to be scared all the time because they don't know what's coming, or to a point where they don't care. They don't care. And for Fauci of all people to be a flip on the freaking mask topic, or the CDC for that matter, it's obnoxious. Again, these are people or organizations that are being run by the most ignorant human beings we could have possibly had in those positions, or it's intentional. And I believe that it could be either one. I really do at this point. There's enough just garbage in the world that, look, man, I'm not saying I'm a Q guy, but I'm willing to say that what's going on. It doesn't make sense. Why would every country on the planet just follow suit?
Yeah. And it's sad that even if you object or, question the narrative, that you're pigeonholed as some QAnon conspirator or, right-wing Republican Trump supporter, anti-vaxxer.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that are against the mandates that have been vaccinated. They're against the use of violence and force and, policing of us and our lives, just for us to, again, go along with the rules. And we should always have the choice to go along or not. It's not anything detrimental to society. Our personal health, number one, should be private, our business. Nobody else should have an opinion over it or be able to claim authority over that. But that's exactly what the government is doing right now.
Right. Yeah. The way I look at it is that, it just seems pretty simple and straightforward to me. Right. I'm not, no matter where you stand on the vaccine, right? I'm not going to get the vaccine myself, but I respect anyone who feels the need to get the vaccine.
Yeah.
I respect them getting it. I don't see a problem with it. I just don't understand the alarmism over people who are not vaxxed. It doesn't make any sense to me. There's literally no logic to suggest that unvaccinated people are any more likely to give someone COVID than vaccinated people.
Right. I think what's crazy about this the most is it's like, okay, yeah, you got this COVID-19 virus going around, but even before this, there was a push to mass vaccinate. I have to constantly remind people in California, we already had laws that mandated for public health employees and educators to be vaccinated, children to be vaccinated to attend school. And now they're just kind of kicking it up a notch, and putting it into effect times 10.
That's it. None of this came from nowhere. It didn't come out of nowhere, right?
Exactly.
Which is weird. Wow, man, it's crazy that the infrastructure was set for all these rules and regulations to be put in place. It wouldn't have been acceptable only a few years ago. But now, because of COVID, well, we gotta.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you saw a comment, a post that I had shared on Instagram and commented on it. This right here, I was actually sent this by a parent here in California, and she sent this saying it was confirmed that her kid had got COVID. I guess they're testing kids at school to go back to school or not, and then are saying that even if your kid tests positive, that they have to attend school. So this is what she's saying. Does the school care though? kids are required to return to school within 5 days, whether they are still positive and have symptoms or not. As long as there's no fever, keeping him out any longer, this is their son, keeping him out any longer endangers him for truancy court. That's another factor that they apply. They also use the data to collect information on what parents are vaccinated or not, and stated they will be using that information to determine if the kids are in a quote-unquote safe environment. So long story short, they're gearing up to make us lose our kids. That's this year's agenda. This is the catch-22 that they're putting parents in. And then there's people commenting saying, well, just homeschool your kid. If you're a single parent and you got to work, that's almost next to impossible to homeschool your kids while also maintaining a 40-hour-a-week job,
You know, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, and this is the case. Yeah, on that topic of homeschooling, I'm gonna put it out there, right? Because at the beginning of all this last year, right, we talked about my motivation, small L libertarian.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time, kids. This is the time. If you have kids and it's homeschool, and for those of you who can take somebody else's kid for the day so that they can work, a single mom,
yes,
help people out.
Yes.
Pods. And I know they're being done. It's being done all over the place. There are solutions out there. But I just maybe that's what we should do, Nick, is do a show on some of the solutions that are available for homeschooling.
I agree. We should.
Know, because and maybe even interview somebody who's put a pod together.
That would be nice. I mean, even my wife and I, when looking for a babysitter, have found it difficult because, we're looking for someone to watch them that hasn't had the shot. And if you go to any of the, reputable websites that they have out there to find a babysitter or something, most of them are promoting that they got the shot so parents can feel more secure about leaving their kids around them,
Of course.
But we're looking for the opposite.
Right.
And then finding those people and have them be reliable is another story.
Right.
It's like slim pickings out there. So I completely agree with you, Shane. If you are out there, you're watching, you want to help someone else in the community, you got some free time, you're working from home, whatever the case may be. You're a grandparent,
Yes, man.
Grandkids to rent.
That's so funny. It was back in the 80s and 90s. I remember it was like, don't drop out of school, man. High school dropouts, not cool. And that was the whole mantra that everybody was pushing. I feel now like if you care about your children, get them out.
Right. You won't
get them out.
Especially what's going on here with this text that I had received from this parent. Because it's extremely concerning, because that's, again, the catch-22 that they're putting parents in to say either vax your kids and have them come to school, or if you keep them out of school, we're going to then, fine you for, having them be truant and not be in school and have this attendance record that we would like for them to. And then also coming into question that they're in a safe environment, and bringing that up all together. What the hell does that mean? And how is that being determined by the state?
It's not. It's not. It will be determined by a local health official that will be appointed by the mayor, the governor, county commissioners, however it will work. But yes, that will be in the hands of a single individual to make that determination. And up in Washington, that person now has the right already, even though they're not going door to door yet, they're not doing it yet. That person now has the right to go ahead and call the authorities and leverage the power of the police to take people physically from their homes to another location, yet to be determined, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, taking kids out of homes. Yeah, they will.
Yeah. And Leslie is back, letting us know he has a problem with sovereignty. And I guess it's people like him that are the reason why, there's parents like the one that I showed, having to deal with such a situation and having to forcefully vaccinate their kids just to go to school and themselves just to earn a paycheck and earn a living. You know,
I don't think Leslie Knowles is a real human being.
Maybe not, but the bots seem to care a lot about
that's good.
Us wanting to be free people.
Yeah.
So if that is the AI, bot out there, we should be very alarmed that they are fearful of us wanting to be free.
Exactly. Dude, we're on a list, man. We're on a list. I've always wanted to be on a list.
Of course.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been on the list, man, ever since, I don't know, shit. I could say fuck the police,
you know what? I'm gonna say it anyways. You've been on a list since you were black.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
thank you for recognizing that.
I mean, look, man.
I could have said it, but you said it makes it much even more validated.
Well, I mean, it sucks, dude. I just, being like white and growing up middle class, and like, I understand that, like, my friends and family that hear me say stuff like that, they absolutely cringe, because to a person, they are not racist. They're not, and they're really not, right? But they don't understand, and to me, it always brings up this whole economics thing for me. But like, they don't understand how the policies that are enacted to supposedly protect them. And I'll give, like, the best example I can give is the drug policy, right? The war on drugs that protected middle class white America. That was what that whole thing did. It made us feel like, okay, someone's looking out for us. Somebody knows, like, our plight, that our children are smoking the marijuana and they're drinking and they're, all of these things, right?
Yeah.
And all of these laws and regulations are passed to protect and make these people feel okay. And nobody pays attention to the fact that government cannot do for one group of people without doing something equally bad to another group of people.
Right.
Exactly. And even though nobody went into it going, man, I hope black people just take it in the shorts on this, because, we hate drugs. So no, I don't believe that was ever a cognitive mindset in the mind of a single sane white human being back in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
That's not what anyone was thinking. It wasn't about that. But at the end of the day, that is what happened. And when white people can't recognize that, and when white people can't own that and go, oh my God, you know what? I voted for the policies. And by the way, that's not a partisan thing, right? Whether you were a Reagan guy or whether today you're a Biden guy, but Biden is half the freaking reason the entire drug policy exists in its current form, right? I mean, yeah, it's why it's the system. Yes, Mandy, that's exactly right.
Right.
So it's not about, and it kills me, right? When I hear anyone from BLM or anybody, who's black, who talks about that white people are inherently racist and that they don't get it. That it's like, no, man, we're not. Are we ignorant? Do we not get that bad policy necessarily means someone's getting effed?
Yeah.
Because that's what we don't get. We don't get it on a national level.
Yeah, it's that whole blanket opinion type of mindset, that
right.
The same way that they're thinking that about all of privileged white people out there, they're thinking that about all of the thuggish black people out there,
Right.
And it's sad that we're again put into these categories simply because people fail to think outside of the mainstream media box that's been created for them,
Right. And keep in mind, we put ourselves in those categories. We choose to identify. When they put a label out there and we choose to identify with it, that's us doing it. It's not them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they create the labels and the categories, and we say, ooh, that's me. Instead of saying, you know what? I think there's more categories. There's more labels. I think I'm all of those.
Right.
You know, I think
Right.
I fit into every box.
Right.
You know?
Or I think I might actually not be any of those.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
might just be somebody who doesn't give a rat's ass that you want to collect data. How about that? That's the kind of guy I am.
Yeah. Sounds like a true libertarian.
I am. I think I am a true libertarian.
Indeed. Mandy D says unintentional, but still there. Yes, absolutely.
Mandy,
Because,
jump on, be a guest. It's fun. You'll love it.
yeah. I like what you were saying about the whole war on drugs policies and the unintended effect of it, because you're right. Every person that was supportive of it, even the black people, you know,
Yes.
were thinking like, yeah, let's
And
get
it wasn't
these
race, was it? It was economic. It was
Yes.
the economic classes that benefited. You're right.
Exactly. Yeah. So once we kind of seen the blowback, we're like, oh shit, now we got to do something about it. There was actually a rally here yesterday in Sacramento. A lot of prominent cannabis industry professionals were up at the state capitol protesting against the taxes in the state, which are killing the cannabis industry. I mean, ever since Prop 64 has been passed and they've legalized it, so to speak, when really they've commercialized it,
right,
you know, and let the big corporations take over, the mom and pops are getting screwed.
Yeah.
And they're starting to feel the burn of that. And this new war on drug policy that they're saying, or policies that are affecting people of color, are the excessive taxation. You know,
What group of
that?
people never would have said that was a real thing?
All right. What's up, Dave? Dave,
Dave.
at the house. Dave, what's up? We were speaking about cannabis policy, and Dave pops up in the house. He says perfect timing.
Yeah, tell me about Dave.
Dave actually used to be live in California,
Okay.
and run a cannabis business here, one of the most successful in the state. He actually fought against the positive conflict that exists with federal law in court here, and the government put him through the ringer. You know, harmed his businesses. Did their best to harm him and his family, and chased him out of the state. So he's back. Where are you, Dave? On the East Coast or some shit like that in the Midwest? Says the new Green Deal should be taking advantage of all the many uses of the plant. Absolutely. So the new Green Deal rush brought him out here, you know, the cannabis rush. And he was hoping to get his business started. And unfortunately, like I said, before they passed Prop 64, because of him mainly, people like him, you know, fighting against cannabis laws in the court of law, and proving how they were conflictual against each other, you know.
Yeah.
Idaho, that's where he is. Idaho.
in the end, when you want to talk about real criminals, right? The only like from that perspective, right? In my opinion, the only cannabis market that was affected was the legitimate cannabis market, which is the black market.
Yeah. Hit the link, Mandy or Dave, if you guys want to jump in the show.
Yeah.
Anybody watching, click the link in the description. Just check out the description, and it says join the studio or join the broadcast. Click that link, and you'll be able to jump in. All right. Dave Armstrong says they went after my landlord for $10,000 a day.
Yeah, criminal
like that. That's how criminal. Very criminal.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So that's actually how they were able to chase people like Dave out of the state, send them and their families into places like Idaho because of the environment not being business friendly. And it's happening right now to such a scale to where pounds in California, pounds of cannabis used to sell for like maybe $1,200 to $1,500 a pound. And that was maybe like some mid-grade shit. You know, the high-end shit was like $2,000, $3,000 a pound and shit. Now it's going about 200 to 300,
Yeah,
500. You
yeah.
know,
We
on the
had
high end.
we had a glut in Oregon a couple of years ago too. That massively. That's it.
He's in his pajamas.
Believe me, Dave, you're welcome to join.
Right,
We
it's
were in
okay.
far less than pajamas last week. It's
Yeah. As long as you keep your pajamas on,
yeah,
we're okay
yeah. Did
But
Mandy figure it out, or she didn't? She wasn't able to.
not sure, but yeah, Mandy, Dave, anybody, everybody, if you are watching, except for Leslie, anti-sovereign and Nazis out there, don't click the link. You know, we'd rather you not.
Well, yeah. How did? Yeah,
Huh?
of course, those guys figured out how to click the link last week, but
Yeah, they did. All right. All right. Look at who we got in the house. Mandy.
yes. Hey.
Hey there, Mandy. Welcome to the Shane Show. Thank you for joining
us. Yeah, let me make the quick introduction. Nick, this is my sister, Mandy.
Oh, wow. All right.
So, yep. And then Mandy, this is Nickolas Wildstar. This is I'm pointing. I have to learn my pointing, yeah, point the wrong way to point the right way. Yeah. Yes. So this is nope, never mind. Not going to point. So this is my buddy Nick that I've been telling you about. And yeah, so welcome to our show. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for being here and being a part of this conversation, because it's definitely one to be had, needs to be had. There's so many different facets of it. So we got Dave here who is saying the corporate plan was to overgrow the market, which financially strangles the mind pause out there. Mandy, what do you know about the cannabis industry? Mandy, I'm guessing it was a topic just before this that got your attention.
It was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. What were your thoughts on that? Because this is Mandy doesn't have any interest in the cannabis industry, really.
One of the few people on the planet who's actually allergic to the cannabis industry. It's a real bummer, actually.
Oh, really? You know what's funny? Okay, this is a way to tie it into everything that we're talking about. A science report just came out. Okay, they did a scientific paper that said cannabis helps treat COVID. Now, this just came out as a national headline or whatever, but very early on when COVID first started, there were a few scientists saying that. In the cannabis industry, we're even putting that information out there.
Fake news.
Exactly. Fake news, glossed over, not real science, all of this shit. Now, I got to find it. But yes, so Mandy, I'll let you take it from there.
I would say for the people who can use it, honestly, in more cases, it's medicinal than people like to admit. So I have a cancer background, huge number of friends who have found pain relief, treatment, options that aren't usually standardized by modern practices, but are the only things that helped them get through it.
Yeah. Right. Can I ask a question? You said you can't use cannabis. Is there a reason why? I mean,
yeah, cannabinoids cause anaphylaxis.
Ah, okay. Is it just marijuana, I guess, or or can it be hemp? Because cannabis comes in two different forms. It's the one with THC and the one without. So CBD.
It's not THC. It's CBD. It's cannabinoids.
She's experimented with me in the past, and I assure you, she didn't get hemp.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I there's been medical studies out there that have proven that cannabis helps with cancer as well. They don't want to support those type of medical studies, but the information is out there. Tons of firsthand testimonials from people that have treated their cancer with cannabis. So it's sad that there isn't any type of production by the medical community to start utilizing that, harnessing the power of cannabis and its medical, medical benefits.
Well,
Like
let me ask a question though. Would you really want the medical industry to productionize it?
that is true. That is true. If I can't trust them as far as I could throw them, then you're absolutely right. I would trust more so the people in the cannabis industry who are already,
I would take my cancer medication from Snoop Dogg over Dr. Oncologist any day.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're moving towards.
And I may be wrong, but I feel like Snoop's going to have a better bedside manner anyway.
Right.
He's a cool doctor.
For sure. All right. Here's actually that headline I was talking about.
Wait, Nick, before you do. All right. So we got to rewind a little bit. Mandy, something sparked your attention and got you to jump in. What was it?
Oh, I was just you guys were talking about, well, you were talking about racism, but I threw in there it's bias, right? It's the part of the reason that people don't understand why something is considered racist is because they don't understand the unintentional bias that they have day to day.
Correct.
Right. So, correct. So I hire, right, and I have to do all my generational training and all the corporate fun stuff that goes with that. But part of that is understanding the bias that you take into interviews, the bias that you take into every conversation. And there was I had to take, I forget what they called it, but some set of training that I thought was actually really useful. And they had 2 examples where the bias was so obvious you couldn't help but acknowledge that it was there. And the first one is Sue likes to argue, right? This is the example. Sue likes to argue, and 70% of people are teachers and 30% are lawyers. What will Sue likely be? And the answer would come back, well, a lawyer, because she likes to argue. It's not math, right? The math says 70% of people are going to be, it's those unintentional biases that lead to that systemic racism.
Yeah.
It's unintentional. It's just a misunderstanding of how we think, and it's hard to address because nobody wants to admit they don't know their biases or they don't see how they function.
Well, and in all fairness to people, right, is that we all have them.
Yeah.
I would say that for most of us, we're pretty unaware of what they are. Some of them we know we have, but for the most part, we're very unaware of our biases, and because we don't know what we don't know.
Correct.
Well, if we're not honest with ourselves,
right?
I think a lot of people, that's the main thing, is they don't want to admit that their shit stinks. And it's
and so from my perspective, right, I look at this and I go, okay, that means that human beings are complex. Human beings are by nature the farthest thing from simple and easy to understand, right? Because we are. That's just how it is. And so then I go back to my geekism about the whole economics thing, man. Every government policy is economic in nature at any level, right? And when you are making policy that is going to favor or have a positive impact on one group, it's impossible. It can't not have a negative impact at some point in time on another group.
Right.
And I think like they talk about in economics, right? The good economist takes the time to consider the ramifications, all ramifications of policy, how it will affect the present and the future, how it will affect all groups, how it will affect. And I liken that to what we talk about today in like modern terms. We talk about being present, or we talk about being mindful, and we talk like these kind of things. And it's about, right, making good personal economic decisions in our lives, right? It's about recognizing, right, that if I do this, if I say this, if I think this, if I feel this, if I do these things, then I know what these outcomes will be. And if I can know what the outcomes will be, then I can start having like thinking critically about my behavior, thinking critically about my decisions, thinking critically about how what I do may affect you.
I don't think most
We're
people
excused
think
from that now as a people. We don't have to worry about that.
I think that's the problem is people don't think like economists anymore. We think like consumers.
That's
you
because
know?
our economists don't think like economists anymore. They think like the people who are profiting off of the consumers.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the corporatists,
Yes.
know. And it's sad that they're chasing the almighty dollar and they'll put that above all else while also claiming that those, efforts are for the greater good.
Right. So Mandy, what do you do? So as somebody who's in that position, right, of interviewing and hiring and that kind of thing, so to be aware of your biases, or even aware that you're not aware of your biases, and then try to move forward in the most non-biased, biased fashion you can. How do you like when you're cognitive of it? How do you move forward?
Honestly, I invested in some training, which may sound ridiculous, but it's just a way to challenge what I thought I knew, and it turns out I had some challenging to do. In especially in a business setting, I had biases that I just was unaware of. I didn't have others, but I definitely had some. But when I hire, my goal is that no two people on my team should be the same. And that sounds stupid and simple, but it's true. I mean, I looked across my teams and say, people really shouldn't look alike, sound alike, age should be different. And that's not just to meet a metric, but it actually gives you better performance in a team environment because everybody's bringing something different to the table. So it challenges what you may think. It challenges what everybody's going to think. You're not just going to get a pat answer with a bunch of people that are going to agree with you. You don't get a yes men mentality kind of thing.
Right.
But I do find that most people who are in hiring positions don't take it as maybe as serious. They go, well, I'm not racist, or I'm not sexist, or I'm not, I'm not those things, so I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Is it possible I could ask you a question before we go ahead and wind things down here? Since you are someone that's in the position, that's employing others, and we're in this environment where people are finding it difficult to even find jobs because of these vaccine mandates, how has it been with you, I guess, conducting interviews, and has it been problematic or has it been easy?
No. So if you're a company that says that you are a diverse and inclusive culture, inclusive means people who have the vaccine and don't.
Wow.
So I guess the companies that I work for carry that through. That's just a reality of a culture, right? So inclusivity doesn't mean you follow my rules. Now, it may mean that you can't be in an office setting because they've got some mandate they have to apply to, but that doesn't mean that you don't work from home. Or it doesn't mean, right, there are alternatives to an office setting.
Right.
So any company that's not hiring because you're not vaxxed, I would challenge their inclusivity clauses in their culture.
I think that's probably, what bank was that recently that said they're not going to hire anyone that refused to get vaccinated? It was a bank.
That was a major bank, wasn't it? That wasn't it Chase?
Yeah, it was. one of these major banks that said that they're not going to be employing anyone that refuses to get the vaccination. And for any of their current employees, they have a deadline to get the shot or not. So
Yeah.
that culture of inclusivity that you're talking about definitely does not expand to corporate America. So that should be a red flag.
It is a huge red flag, and it will feed right back into the same conversations around bias. So there's a thought that says, oh, if you're an anti-vaxxer, well, then insert some negative commentary here. Or if,
Right.
in a professional environment, and when it comes to businesses and hiring practices, those statements and thoughts don't belong. It's not
Yeah, it was actually Citibank. So Citibank said they will fire employees who haven't been vaccinated against COVID-19. And the CEO came out this week, did an interview, basically backed up those claims. So here we are in a free country, quote unquote, where you have employers discriminating openly against people based on their medical choice, which we agreed is private, and who Dr. Peter McCullough said during the Joe Rogan interview said it's an invasion of privacy, flat out, So yeah, and even recently the Supreme Court said it's a violation. And
it's not just that. Why are there not reasonable accommodations? There are for other things.
Right.
If I need an ergonomic chair, my employer has to provide that for me. Right. Why is a non-vaccinated scenario something that an employer doesn't have to make an accommodation for?
Yeah. I think there's going to be a slew of lawsuits that end up resulting from the choices that these employers are making right now. If we'll have a justice system that actually defends the people versus the corporation is another story. And like I said, with the Supreme Court even kind of towing the line here and walking a fine line by what their recent choices. Maybe we should talk about that next time. But
it's going to come down to discrimination too. If you're a company that's put out there that you have an inclusive and diverse environment, how can you say that you don't hire people who aren't vaccinated?
Exactly. Yeah. It would be the same as if they refuse to hire Black people or someone that's, bisexual, transsexual, whatever sexual,
doesn't participate in a specific religion.
Yes.
Is over or under an age, right? Those are all.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Mandy, for bringing all of that information to light and giving us much more to think about. And Shay, you got a great sister there, man.
Yeah, I kept the good one. I got rid of the one I didn't like. I just got rid of.
All right. Well, thank you for keeping the good one. You're welcome back anytime here, Mandy. Thank you so much for being here on the Nick and Shane Show.
All right, you guys have fun.
All right, thank you. All right, you guys. So if you're watching, we appreciate you for being here and want you to come back again. So connect with us on social media right there, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Connect with me at Governor Wildstar. And if you're on YouTube, please click that subscribe button. Shane and I would definitely appreciate it if you help us grow our audience. That's what we're looking to do by bringing these shows to you, and we're going to continue to do so. So definitely come back next time. Shane, you want to say something before we get out of here, man?
Yeah. Hey, everyone, we keep watching. We know the show is good. They wouldn't have brought us back for another season. We established that last episode. They wouldn't have brought us back if we weren't good. Keep watching.
Right.
Yeah. We grow on you.
Yeah. YouTube gave us the thumbs up. So we're going to continue to keep on until we get banned. All right. He's starting to wake up and get pissed at me again. So
no. All right. Peace.
Let's drop the outro song and get out of here, my man. Till next time, you guys. Long live liberty.
Yes.
We're up out of here. Peace. Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Shane.
Nick.
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 Shane. Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm 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 Shane.